over the session. And we are going to practice, a simple application that is going to show you the benefits of full stack web development. And it is going to make you understand how easy it is to implement and deploy applications with full stack. And we hope you enjoyed this session today. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Manoj. Thanks, Manoj. And hi, good evening, everyone. So let's get started. I'll share my screen, and I'll also take you through what is a complete full stack web development. Along with that, I'll tell you what is the scope that is required and how you would be growing in your career when you learn a full stack developer. When you are a full stack developer, what is your career growth? What are the things that you will do? How much you are going to earn? All these things as we develop the application, I'll take you on. So let me share my screen. Hope my screen is visible for everyone, people. Yeah. So I'll also show you a simple application that we are going to develop. Just a second. So what I'll do is let me take and show you what we are going to do. I'll run and show you. Just a second. I'll go to my GitHub. I'll show you a simple project that we are trying to build over here. Once that is done, you might understand why we are actually trying to build it. I'll move this window over here. Let me sign into my account. We'll try to take a very simple game, simple guess it game. So you must understand how it is going to work. Guess it game is like when you give a number, when you enter a number between 1 to 100, you might have chances. So the correct guess is going to give you a score, and the wrong guess is going to give you it is going to take your life. A very simple game, people. See here. So we have 10 chances. Out of 10 chances, let me enter and show you what is going to do. Here, our guess is too low. Again, what I'll do is I'll take 50. Again, my guess is too low. Let me take 80. So number falls between 50 and 80. Let me take 70. It is again, so it is 70 to 80. So let me put 75. 78. 77. Yeah. So as you could see, this is a very simple game that has been built with the help of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Keeping this as an example, we'll try to mimic a small game. We'll try to exactly replica the same game. so that you understand. See, it is very easy to build a game with whatever you have learned or whatever you are learning. It is now whatever we are seeing here is just a small game. Imagine Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, or Flipkart, how these applications are built, or the banking applications that you do have in your mobile phones, right? How do they work? So everything comes under a complete web application. The application that you use in your mobile are a mobile application. The application that you see over here is actually a complete web application, and normally if you install it in your web desktop system, then it is going to be a desktop application. So that is the basic difference. But overall, it comes under the category of full stack development. Full stack development is like I am going to design the front end, I am going to design the back end, and I'm going to design the entire architecture out of it. So database, the front end part, whatever you are seeing in your screen, whatever is getting stored in the database, and the interface between the two, what the data and that is getting stored in the database and your screen which you are seeing in. So there is an intermediate logic which is written to capture the data from the front end and throw it at the back end, right? So all these things as a full stack developer, we do it. So we are good in front end, we are good in back end, and we are also good in logic. So keeping this in mind, these are the things that a full stack developer does. As a full stack developer, what I do is like I can build a complete application without relying on anyone. I can design the entire front end part. Front end part is whatever you see in this my web browser is going to be the front end, and whatever things that we are storing, you are retrieving from the database is the backend database. So this is how this is how the major components are. Uh, and as a full stack, why should you learn a full stack development? Why should you learn a full stack development? Very simple term, right? If you have to whatever, if you want to buy, when you see something and if you want to get it, you need money, right? Your scope comes out there. The knowledge or the skills that you acquire directly helps you to get that money. The skills that I have now helps me to develop a product, and that is why everyone is going to pay you, right? So everything depends on the skill sets that you learn. So one of the major skill sets or one of the very important skill sets in market is full stack development. So keeping this is the next thing that you should understand. Why should I learn a full stack development? Why should I learn this technology, whether it is a React or a Merge stack or a Meme stack or a Java full stack? Why should I learn full stack? So the technology might be differing. The languages or the programming thing that you learn might be differ, but overall it everything comes under full stack development. Uh, so this is the next thing you should understand. The skill set that you are going to learn will indirectly, it will be directly converted into your salary or the revenue that you are going to earn. And what about your future career path? If I say, sir, what you can ask me, hey Venki, if I learn a full stack development, what is the thing that I'm going to do next? Obviously you'll be joining a company. From there, what is your path? What is your path? You can be a product architect. You will be a complete see, you'll be initially you'll be joining as a junior developer, then you'll be a senior engineer, then slowly you will learn a lot of things, you'll acquire experience over a period of year. Acquiring experience, slowly you will improve your code quality. When you start improving your code quality, when you're optimizing the application for efficiency, then you will slowly become a product architect or a product engineer, tech lead, or a senior product architect. Thereby you will be a director of products, or you will be a product owner, product manager. So these are the vast areas that you have when you enter into a full stack development. Your scope is not only limited, it is actually it is a wide area. You have a lot of scopes because you will not be involved in one single thing. You will be involved in multiple entities, as well as you'll be hosting your application in a cloud. Thereby you learn cloud concepts. So when all these concepts get in, it makes you an entire holistic. You will be a complete holistic person where you know lot many things. And once you experience all these things, that is where your career starts to grow, as well as your what do you say, your income tends to grow. It is not when you get into development and when you grow naturally, it is actually it grows exponentially. Your career growth might be exponential, and when your career grows exponentially, your revenue also grows exponentially. That is how it is. So keeping all these things in mind, What I'll do is like I'll start with the simple application. So let me go back. So I have opened up command prompt, right? So I'll just increase the screen size. So what I'm going to do is like, let me actually create a folder. So let me come back. So what I'm going to do is like, I'll create a game called as, let us create a game called as Guess It. I'm not using a too much of technology. I'm writing a code or creating a game with the help of a plain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I'm not using React or I'm not using Angular. I'm not going to use any Node.js. So with these few topics, if I'm able to build application, imagine what kind of wonderful application that we can do with the help of React or Angular or Node.js. A very large scale scalable applications can be built with the help of full stack, and that is the power of being a full stack engineer. If you ask me whether I can build an independent application without any support, I can write my application all by myself, and I can also host it in cloud, and I can deploy it across the world. Anyone can use my application. That is the power, and I'm proud of being a full stack engineer too. So keeping this in mind, let me see here. I created a folder called as Guess It. So mkdir as a command used to create a folder. So then what I do is like, let me navigate inside Guess It. There is no files. So to create files, what I do is like, I create an index.html. I'll create a file called as style.css, and I'll create a file called as app.js. You can see here we have all these files. Let me open it out. Okay, I guess hope everyone is visible. You can see my screen, right? So we have three files. One is index.html, app.js, and style.css. So if you can ask me, sir, what is index.html? Why I should keep it as an HTML, and what is a CSS file, and what is a JS file? So all the things that you see across a web browser, for example, your Gmail, Facebook, if you use if I'm opening up a web browser, for example, yeah, I have opened up a web browser, right? Yeah, see here, this web browser, whatever content you are seeing out here, when I type Google, you are getting this page, right? This response you are getting, right? Everything is finally an HTML page. Everything is finally in the form of HTML, hypertext markup. So that is where HTML comes into play. So to send data across places, people, I mean, if I'm in India and again I build a website here and someone wants to access it in US, then it can be done. So across the globe, everyone will everyone will use the same format. So that is going to be your HTML, and followed by the style.css is the format. You can see the page over here, right? Which has, you can see here the logos on the left side. There is a text box at the top. There is a cross mark here, and you can see here the page is getting displayed, and it has been partitioned into two things. It is showing a description about Google and all these things. So this formatting is the CSS part. This formatting is the CSS part, the style.css. That is cascading. We call it as cascading style sheet. And third is the app.js, is nothing but the functionality. When I enter, you can see here you are getting all these things, right? All these things, and I can click on the button and click on search, right? So JavaScript adds to the functionality, and React is an extended version of JavaScript. So JavaScript is the parent and React is the child. If you know JavaScript, you can learn React, you can learn Angular, you can learn Vue.js, you can learn CoffeeScript, you can learn Node.js. That is the power of learning JavaScript alone. That is the power of learning JavaScript alone. So what I'll do is like, keeping this in mind, let us get started. So I'll also tell you some tips and tricks while doing the application. So see here in this page, in the output page, as you see, yeah, we have the page, right? Yeah, this is the page, right? You can see here I have a text over here. I have a text box, I have a button, and I have again a message. Along with that, if I enter something, it gives me some hint. it gives me some length. So first component, second component, third component, fourth component, and fifth component. Only there are 5 segments in your entire page. Apart from the background image that you have, there are 5 segments. That is, this is going to be the first one, followed by a text box, and you have submit button. You have followed by you have a that is the opportunity chances, and you have a message. Once you enter the number, you get a message whether the number is a high guess or a low guess. So this is how we are going to devise it. To get started, what are the, if you ask me what is the tool that I'm using, it's like you can use any text editor that you have. Or if you ask me what do I recommend VS Code editor. I recommend VS Code editor because it is very convenient and it has a lot of inbuilt features. So my point here is like, let me help you out with I'll recommend you to use a VS Code editor. So let me put a title and let me show you what happens. See here, I'll remove all these things, people. I'll remove all these things. I will delete all these things. And let me try to run this page. Let me try to run this page. You can see I get a empty page. You can see that I get a empty page. Now, let me, this autofilling feature is called as emmet in VS Code. This autofilling feature is called as emmet in VS Code. So whatever, now the shift plus exclamatory, to get this, what I'm doing is shift the in your keyboard you have the shift key, right? Shift plus exclamatory symbol, or I can say it as shift plus 1. Shift plus 1 will give you this emmet abbreviation. Now again I am going to guess game. Let me save this and you can see the output here. Let me refresh this. See here, your title has changed into guess game. Your title has changed into guess game. And if I type something inside my HTML, hi, hello, welcome to Guru classes. See here, you are getting a plain text. You are getting a plain text. It doesn't have any color. It doesn't have any shape. Just that you are getting a plain text. So HTML will give you a plain text. It doesn't have an appearance or it doesn't have any shape at all. That is where CSS comes into play. CSS gives you the, for example, HTML is similar to the bone, the skeleton of the body, whereas CSS adds the muscles and the skin and the coloring. All these things are the CSS part. And finally, when it comes to the JavaScript, it is the functionality where I can move my hands, right? The functions. You can see my movements, right? All these movements you can consider as JavaScript, which is the functionality. So going ahead, so there are 5 components, right? So as I said, we have 5 components. So division is used to create a division. Division is finally used to create a division. And this class keyword that I'm using here is helps us to add the coloring part. So let me call it as container. And within that we have how many things we have? We have 5 things, right? So one is the so what is the text that we are going to use here? It is mentioned as I have a number in my mind between 1 and 100. Can you guess it? So let us keep the same thing. I have a number in my mind between 1 and 100. Can you guess it? So this is the first part which we are having. You can see here we got the output. Next is like what I should do. I should have a text box and I should have a text box and a button. So let us create a div So within this, I'll have an ID. Again, ID can be used for styling purpose. So let me have a input container, and so mine is a text box, right? So input type is equal to text. You can see here. So see here, I got an input type is equal to text. Uh, we are going to get a number, right? Instead of text, I'll put it as number. Input type is equal to number, and ID. Let me keep the ID as number input, and minimum value should be 1, max value should be 100. Max should be 100, and placeholder is like, oh, whatever it is going to display in your what to say, inside the text box. You can see here, we got a text box. So it is just giving a small thing. We haven't added any styles to it. We'll add styles to it. Now, once this is done, I need to create a button, right? So button, we'll have submit button, and we'll have ID equal to submit. Again, you can also see the output as and when that is required. You can see here, right? We got the output, and you can see we have a button over here. So text box is there, button is there. Again, what else is required? We need a message, right? That the message that we have. So what I'll do is like ID is equal to, see here, live is 10, and there is a message which is hidden. So it might display only if we are going to enter the guess. Once after entering the guess, it should give us a message whether the number is correct or whether the number is wrong, or is it going to be a too less or is it going to be a too high thing. So till this part, I guess, if you are new to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, really you might not understand at this pace, but just think, understand very well. So there are only 5 components that we have considered. There are only 5 components. One is the heading part. This is the head h1 tag that we have over here, followed by we have a text box, and we have a submit button, and we have the slice. I can also show you how it is being done. I'll show you how the page is. You can check it out. See here, we have the body part. Inside the body, there is a container. Inside the container, you have a heading part. You have the input container. I can actually see here. Let me reduce this. I have the input container, within which you have the text box and the button, followed by the h1 tag and the message. Message is hidden as of now. We will display it dynamically when you enter or when you press a number. So let me go back to our code. And now let me try to see, always add the style at the top. So you have to add the style at the top. Link CSS. So we have dot slash style dot CSS. This is the file which we are going to include. And always the JavaScript part, it should be at the bottom. JavaScript should be at the bottom. So script dot slash app.js. So this is how you should remember. So always style should be at the top within the head, because when the page gets loaded, style should be loaded. And after the page and style is loaded, only then the functionality should be added. That is where after the body part, you can add the script tag. So please remember, this is where you should add it. Don't forget it. Now moving ahead, I'll try to add a simple style. You can check it out. Let us have a very simple style. So let me. So the star is actually called as a universal selector. Universal selector. So I will make the margin as 0, padding as 0. So you can ask me, sir, what is the margin and padding? When it comes to your page, let me also comment this and show you. You can see here there is a gap over here, right? There is a gap which is above. Now let me add the code over here. Let me uncomment it. You can see here the space and everything has been reset. So initially, to start with, we should always try to reset the browser. What I'm trying to do here is like I'm trying to reset the browser. So that is where these two lines comes into play. That is margin is equal to 0 and padding is equal to 0. Margin is like that space on the top and left, and padding is like for each word or for each element, the space that is getting surrounded is actually the padding part of it. Now let me take the container. You can see here, this is actually the container. We have the container node in yellow. So now I'll make it as yellow. Let me add the width. Here I brought a very simple color now. There's a concept called as flex. See here, when I added flex, everything comes in one single line. Display colon flex. Let me remove and show you. Observe carefully. I'll comment this line. See here, everything comes one after the other. When I add a line called as display colon flex, let me uncomment this. Now see, everything comes in single line. That is horizontal, row wise direction. By default, flex will apply a row wise direction. So now let me actually put it in. I want in column wise. Again, I want the justify content to be centered. See here, it is centered. See here, that's all. Within a fraction of 2 or 3 lines, we got it in center. I'll have a line height. See here space of all the thing. Now a little bit space is getting added. It's because of the padding and line height. Now what I'll do is like I'll try to for the input container, let us try to add. We have the input container, right? Let me put the input container. So let me put it as display colon flex. Hmm. Uh, Again, I'll add justify container is equal to center. So, sir, if you say, Vinky, these are too many things which are actually taking our time. So, where do I prepare? How do I prepare it? So, is it possible for me to understand these basic things? Yes, of course. So, whenever we get on, what I do is like I always insist my team or even the dev team that I'm taking in. What I do is like I'll give them a serious set of tasks. I'll also give you. I'll share it these sets of tasks. Try to do it out. So one such task is like to understand how to use a CSS. There is a game called a CSS Diner. Very simple game. Here I need to select this, right? So I have to enter plate. That's all. And now I should select the bento part. So to take an ID, I should use fancy. See here. So this is one simple game which I actually ask everyone to practice. I'll also share it with you people so that you can actually. This is one game which you should do, and I'll also give you. Okay, you can say what about Flexbox, right? So there is another game which I'll ask my team to practice. So these are the basic games. When you enter into a dev team, I normally insist my team to practice. The same thing I'm actually asking you to do. So Flexbox, Froggy, and the third one, very important thing is like grid. And if you do all these things, and if you know JavaScript, you can become a web designer, not a web developer, basic web designer. You can achieve basic web designing. And one more thing, uh, these are the things to get started, people. If you say if I learn these things, will I become a web developer? Obviously no. Obviously no. So what I'm trying to do here is like you should try to understand and you should try to learn from it. Hmm. People, you will have the fundamental basic thing, very very basic thing, and the JavaScript part. So I always insist my team to get. So one thing is like self-learning part where you actually learn basics, then a guidance from the experts. So that is how you have to learn. If you think of spoon feeding everything, then it is not going to work out. You have learned everything in college, right? What is the thing that we have learned in college, and what we are able to do now? So that you should remember. So self learning is a very important factor, upskilling yourself. Even now the technology or the architecting things requires a lot of things to be researched out. I still learn things. I come and try to implement. If doesn't work, again I'll try to go and find an alternate solution for it. So that is how the technology works out. If you are getting into a technology part or technology, you are choosing your career as a technical full stack developer, then you should have an aspiration to learn. You should be very eager to learn things out. So these basic things whatever I have shared helps you to start with your initial phase of career, where If I come and say talk about JavaScript, you should be in a position to understand what is a JavaScript, or what even if I say hey, keep a button, fetch the data from a button. How do you fetch the data from a button? Those basic things you should try to be in a position to understand. So that is where these links which I have shared in the chat box will help you out. So whenever you have time, just go through it. You will understand very wonderfully, and all these has a lot of simple, very basic exercises. It adds a lot of value to you once you learn these things. When I come and teach you something over here, then it is very easy for you to understand. Then that is how CSS. So all these things are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript part of which to get started. Whatever links I have shared is for you people to get started. Now I'll go ahead. Now we have a basic styling. I'll also add few more styles here. Mm, so input button, I'll put a margin of 30 pixel followed by width. Font size, nothing but the size of the font that you are going to use. So you can see here, I'll try to change the size of this button. So we also have the ID as button, right? See here, I've used an ID as let me go back, let me add it out here. I've used an ID. Let me go over here. Let me add it as, if you are using a class, then you should use a dot. If you are using a class, then you should use a dot. If I use a class, I have to use a dot over here. If I am using an ID, then I should use an hash. Then I should use a hash. I've used a min width. See here, it is almost same as size of that of the text box. So let me also keep the text style and center. Color of the font. If you want the color, let us actually have it in white, or let me have it as in blue. See here, it is blue. If you want, you can change it in black. And cursor equal to pointer. This is very simple thing, people. See here, the text box, when I move over the button, it becomes a hand symbol. The text box, when I move over the button, it becomes a hand symbol. See here. So these are the some of the things that we have to do. So now moving ahead, let us. So styling, whatever styling you want, you can try it out. Now, the third thing is like I'll go to the app.js where in which we'll write the logic of how to get the value, how to generate a random number, and how we are going to compare the random number. So to do that, first thing is like, let me fetch the on the button click, I have to fetch the value from the text box and I have to compare. So to do that, what I'm going to do is like, we should first get the button, right? So const, let me call it as submit button. So document dot get element by id. So we are going to get the submit button. And in order to check whether the button is working or not, so I'll give you a tip: console.log submit button, then press save. Now go back to your browser, right click and click on inspect element, and you can click on the console. You can see the output over here, right? See here, it is getting displayed. Button type is equal to submit is getting displayed. So if this is getting displayed, then you can understand whatever you have done is right. Apart from that, what are the things that we should have? So I should have a message, right? So const message.
And Venkatesh, before we progress into the scripting part, so I would like to ask the participants if they have any queries. So you all know that we have completed the first part, right?
Right.
So if you have any queries, you can ask, and I would like to hand over the session to Vijay Lodha, so who will have a brief discussion with you all. And following that, we will progress to the scripting part that adds some additional functionalities to the website. Thanks, Venkatesh.
Thanks, Manoj.
Good evening, guys. How are you all? You all can use chat box to give me an answer.
So participants, you can unmute yourself and you can ask the.
Hello. Guys, can you all hear me? You all can use the chat box and type in yes, no.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. So I might be talking for the next 5 minutes, so I might sound like an unskippable YouTube ad today, but it's going to be a worthwhile scenario. All right. So I'm going to be asking you various questions moving ahead. You can again type your answers in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and answer. So first, I want to know: have you guys have heard about top MNC companies like Google, Amazon, Netflix? Uh, have you heard about them? All right. Have you thought of have you imagined yourself landing in the interviews of those MNC companies? Those product-based companies who offer really high packages. It's a yes. Okay. Have you guys thought through that? What are the chances of you getting interviewed? So now I'm using the term interviewed, not getting selected. I'm just talking about interviews. What are your chances? Any guesses in percentage, in any number? I'm looking for the answers in chat box. Prashant says 0.001%. No, it's not that tough. Okay. So now let me filter it out a little. So if you are, someone who are technically trained, technology some bit, then you have a good chance of 12% to get an interview call from all these MNC companies. Now I'm again saying there'll be further classification if you get selected or not, but still you have a healthy 12% chance of getting an interview in that. Okay. Now you all say that 12% is a very small number. Yes, it is. Okay. But see, I'll tell you honestly, in this engineering side, we roughly have about 15,000 participants or full stack developers who, come into the real field every month. Roughly about 5,000 of those gets a job. Now, all those jobs are of the category 5 lakhs till 30 lakhs. So you have a real good chance of getting a product based job, even though if you're a fresher. Okay. Now, the point is that even though this sounds a little exciting, you guys must have a lot of questions in your mind, because some of you might be, graduated 3 years ago. Some of you are, already in a job, but you're looking for a hike. Some of you are third or fourth year engineering graduates who are looking for their first job. Okay. So what we do here in UniKaksha is, um, we offer 3 different courses, and these courses are called TechFit Java Full Stack Development Program. And then the second one is TechFit Web Full Stack Development Program. And then the third program is TechFit Data Science with Python program. Okay. You guys have learned few bits of, an understanding of what we do in Java full stack development. Okay. But just imagine, what if, players like Sachin comes in and teach you how to bat. That's what exactly happens at UniKaksha, because we have all the, trainers who have been into the industry for last 10 years. And now, they are here to make the things a little more exciting. All those complex things that you feel that this particular part of coding is a little tough, they are here to make it a little easy for you guys. Okay. So what I'll do here, that all of you participants who are a little interested, who, wants to make the change in their life, maybe, get a hike in their job, or want to get their first job, or, are really looking forward for a thick ass package. I'm going to share across a form link. Please fill in this form. I'm sharing that in the chat box, so that one of the academic counselors from the UniKaksha side will get in touch with you, and we can have a further conversations with you guys. Is that all right? Okay. So I have just forwarded a message to you. Have you all guys received it? I'm not sure if you've received it. Just give me a minute. On the chat box,
Yes.
it's the form link. Now it's visible, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. So I'll ask Manoj or Venkatesh to please take the session ahead. For all those interested participants, please go ahead and check in with this form. Fill up this form so that someone from our UniKaksha side will connect with you all. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Vijay, for your motivation and some insightful speech. So Venkatesh, you can please continue.
Thanks, Manoj. Right, people. So you could see, right? So what we did is, like, we created the HTML part, that is the foundation, followed by the CSS, which gives you the appearance. Now the third stage, that is, we are going to add a few lines of functionality. So now I told you how to fetch the data, right? So to fetch the data from a HTML page, you are using this command. So what do I say as document? Or document is nothing but whatever you see over here. The yellow color part is the document. The body part is nothing but the document. From the document, using the id, we are taking it out. So now, we need to change the message, right? So to do that, so document dot, again get element by, sorry, it should be dot get element by id. Again, what is the id that is we have used? So you can go back and check. We have used it as message. Let me copy this and let me put it out here. And the third thing is like we also have the message, that is the opportunity, that is 10, you have 10 lives, right? This should be changing, this should be changing, right? So lives equal to, again, document dot get element by id, you have kept it as lives. And now the first thing is like, let us generate the random number, let us generate a random number. So how do I generate a random number? So to do that, var stands for variable number. So let me put it as guess number, number that we are going to guess. So there is a functionality called as math dot round off math dot random. There is a functionality in JavaScript called as math dot random into 100 people. Very simple. Math dot random generates a number between, it will be in decimals, it will be in decimals, that is, it will be in decimal between 1 0 to 1 0 to 1, that's all. Random number will generate a number between 0 to 1, and if you multiply by 100 you get the corresponding number, and we are rounding it off to a whole number. So now if you could see, sir, whether it is working or not, you can just check it out by printing and seeing console.log of guess number. See here, let me put it out here. Let me go over here, go to console. See here, you have a number at the bottom, right? 58. Now again, if I refresh this one, let me refresh. You have a number called as 97. Again, if I refresh, next time you will have a number called as 66. That's all. So you are getting a perfect random number. So keeping this in mind. So next is like the message that is going to be displayed. We call it as text. And empty text, let me give it as empty text. And the lives, initially it is going to be 10, and we should decrease from 10. For each button click, your live should decrease, right? So now on submit button, when I click on it, so submit button dot on click, when I'll be generating a function. So this is actually one way of writing a JavaScript function, the ES6 JavaScript version. So on my button click, or whenever I click on this button, it should actually evaluate, right? So initially what I do is like, from the user input, so I should fetch it out. So document dot get element by id, my input number, right? So number input, if I'm not wrong, that is what I kept it out here. Yeah, number input. So from the text box, I am trying to fetch a value. So number input dot value, you can again check and see value. You can display and check console.log of user input. So see here, let me enter this. I'll enter 56. You are getting 56. So the value is getting fetched from the, what do you say, from the HTML part of it. From the text box, I'm getting to get a value. See here, again, I'll press enter. It is getting 39. So far, we are able to fetch the value. So all these things so far, it is working perfectly. Now followed by, see, for every time the opportunity should be minus, right? See here, let me close this. If I enter, let me refresh this once. See here, if I enter a value, and if I click on submit, the lives that is here is getting reduced. The opportunities are getting reduced. So the same logic I should do to do that. Sorry, let me put lives minus minus. See here, live is getting minus minus. Then let me check the user input. If user input is equal to guess number, I can put the text as you win. A very simple logic, people. If my number, whatever number I am entering, and it is equal to the random number that we are generating, then uh, we win, right? Or else, if the live, if it has become 0, then we lost, right? You lose, you lost. My user input, if it is greater than guess number, your guess is too large. If our user input is less than the guess number, a very simple, this is similar to the normal programming that we do, if else statement. Your guess is too low. So what I'll do is like, so message dot style dot display equal to inherit. Inherit is like whatever style, default style we have, the same thing it will use. And to display the value, this inner HTML will display the value over here, people. The value that is getting changed over here, that is the purpose of inner HTML. See, now let us try to see if it is working or not. See here, your guess is too large. So the number, guess number is going to be 9. So let me again add a 5. It is too low. So the value, it is between 5 and 10. Let me put a 7. Again, it is going to be too low. Let us put 8, too low, followed by, let me put a 9. See, you win. We got the output as u1. And you can also see here, everything is getting displayed perfectly. So if now what I did is like I add these two things in text. So instead, if I have to keep it in a separate file, if I have to navigate and say, hey, you won, what should I do? So what I'll do is like, let me have a file dot win.html. So shift plus exclamatory winner, you won. We haven't added any style, but if we have to navigate to a different page, so what I'll do is like here, instead of having a text, let me put location dot href equal to dot slash win dot html. Now let us go back. Let me enter a number 50, 70, 80, 90, 95, 94, 93, 92. See, we moved into a new page. So we were able to move into a new page. Very, very simple logic, people. So this part, this is where you are checking the condition. This is where you are checking the condition. And this is the page where you are able to fetch your value from the text box. So whatever styles that you require, you can add it over in the CSS part. If I have to improve, for example, you can see that our the text that is getting displayed over here is too small, right? It is getting displayed as like too small, right? So in order to do that, what I'll do is like, let us actually improve the message size. Um, what I'll do is like, let me go here. We have given ID called as message, right? I'll take that message. Let us have a font size 1.5. We have a text align here, and initially it might not display. Only after entering the value it should display. That is why it is initially display colon none. So now let us go back. Let us refresh this once. You have to refresh it for the styles to get updated. Here, let me actually now enter a value. Here, so now everything is working perfectly. If you want, you can actually change this one also. This one also. Let us actually, what is the ID that is given over here? So we have given it as I'll just a second. I'll go to style.css. So live text. Let me change the color around. Here it is white in color. It is not getting displayed, right? Let us actually change the color. Color, if I say as background color, it is going to change the background. Color, when I say it, it defines the whatever font is there in the page, those color. So let me have a dark color over here. See here, when you have crimson color, you are getting it right. So again, let us have a font size over here because it is too low. Now it is much more better, right? Now, if I have to additionally get a change the font which is available over the internet, what should I do? So what I'll do is like, I'll show you how to do it. So let us go to Google, type as Google Fonts. Click on it. Yeah. Select whichever you want. See, if I have this, you can see here at the top right, it shows whatever the font that is selected. Click on the import format. So what I'll do is like I'll copy the import part. Don't copy the entire part. Copy whatever is there inside the style tag. We normally call all these things as tags, people. Whatever you have done over here are tags, HTML tags. Body tag, div tag. Div is used to create a logical segment. H1 tag here. So what I'll do is like inside the style.css at the top, what I'll do, let me add the font family and the font that we are going to use it. Now let me copy this. Let me put it into the style part. Right. Let me put it out here. Now go back to the font. You can see here, right? I have a number in my mind between 1 and 100. Can you guess it? See here, everything has changed. Similarly, if you have to keep a background image, see, this is the very basic version, people. HTML, CSS, JavaScript is a very basic version of web development. If you know this, if you know JavaScript, I already said, right, you have the flexibility to learn React, Angular, TypeScript, Vue.js, Coffee.js, all these things you can learn it out. The thing is like you should be having a passion towards full stack development. Simple thing, very simple thing. If you know all these things, you are going to get a very hefty package. Even if you are starting your career in a very small startup, imagine after 1 year gaining the experience from the industry. Now anyways, you are going to be a fresher. After gaining 1 year of experience in full stack development, imagine the value that you might have, or imagine the package that you might get. I know most of my students where they are right now. There are people who have crossed me in getting a package, who have crossed my package. And imagine we both have a difference of 10 years, my student, but I'm proud of it. I'm really proud of it. So you should be in a position to aspire for such kind of environment. Imagine whatever I look at or whatever I wanted to eat, whether it be a small hotel or whether it be a very expensive 7-star hotel. Now I'm in a position to go there, sit and have whatever I like. So that is the thing which you should do, people. So that is the aspiration you should have. Whatever your family loves, you can get it for them. Whomever you love, you can get whatever that is required for them, you can get it. So it all starts on what are the skill sets that you have finally. If you say now I'm a product architect, right? So I can build I can give solutions to any industry that is going to build a product. And if they are going to use me, they should definitely give me since they are going to use my skills, they would be again paying back as a hefty amount. So that should be the stage that you should reach. It is not that we cannot get it. See, it is not that the companies does not only come to IITs or NITs, right? Companies nowadays, the trend is like they look for people who are skilled. Uh, for example, last week VAT, two people got into MotorQ, a US based company. Per fresher coming out of college got a package of 1 CR, 1.02 CR. If he is able to get it, why can't we? And what are the skill sets that we require? Those are the things that you should also learn, so that you are trying to reach that package. So that is how the industry expects people. So with this in mind, I guess we come to today's end from my side. You can see here, right? We designed a simple, very simple application. See, within a fraction of 1 hour, we are able to do such a kind of application. Imagine if you learn merge stack or full stack application, what is the scale of application that you can build it?
So, Venkatesh, can you also throw some light on, how MongoDB or, the backend databases will be assisting a full stack application?
Okay, right. Thanks, Manoj. Again, I said right. So there are three important components, people. I'll take one more page. What I'll do is like I'll put it here. Let me keep it as sample.html, and I'll tell you what are the things, that major things that we have. So whenever it comes to an application, I already said you have a mobile application. Whatever you see in your app, whatever you see in your mobile is going to be the mobile app. And the next major thing is like before mobiles, we always used to work everything with the web application. That is whatever you see in your browser, Chrome or Firefox, is going to be the web app, and the other one version is going to be the desktop version, desktop that I install in my machine, right? So a calculator or a media player, VLC media player that install in my system is going to be the desktop application. all all the applications, all these three applications, uh, by default they have a front end user interface. It has a front end, it has a back end, and it has a database. When I say front end and back end, a very simple thing I'll show you. We can actually go. Let me close these things because I need to. Yeah, see here. For example, if I say Flipkart or Amazon, you have Amazon.in, right? So this screen that is getting displayed is actually the user interface. But where are these product details are getting stored? If I click on these products, you are getting a list of products, right? List of products where it is getting stored. That is where the database part comes into play. That is where database part comes into play. So database as in we have relational database, RDBMS, and we have non-relational database, non-RDBMS. For example, MongoDB or Cassandra. Again, when I say RDBMS, you have MySQL, you have Oracle, you have PostgreSQL. These are some of the basic databases that we work on. And it depends on the application to application. And when you are scaling the application to a very large enterprise application, then you will have multiple. You might use PostgreSQL along with MongoDB or Cassandra with Oracle. Anything can be done. And when it comes to the front end part, that is where your HTML, CSS, JS comes into play, followed by you will have React or Angular as a front end. And you also have Vue, and it goes on. And backend, that is where you would have learned Java or .NET, or you have the Node.js. But if I say MERN stack, MERN is a combination of MongoDB followed by Express.js, followed by React, and Node. Node acts as the backend. So if I say, you can ask me, sir, you are always saying something as backend. What does the backend say? See, there are some data that is available in the database. From front end, how do you interact with the database? So that intermediate connectivity, right? I enter some details over here. For example, I enter a mobile phone. I enter mobiles, right? So if I click on this, something is happening, right? Something is happening and you are getting this display, right? So what happens, like from here, the request is getting processed. From here, you can see here, right? Mobile under 5,000. This is actually, we call it as query parameter. This one is actually called as query parameter. I see here, this one, whatever I have entered over here is getting, it is getting displayed in the URL. So this query params, what happens is like I send a request to the server and I'm getting a response. So all the data from my screen, for example, your registration, right? Your registration in say Amazon or Facebook, you are entering your details and it is getting stored in the database. So how the data is being transferred? That intermediate data transfer is taken care by the backend part of it. So which is nothing but Java takes care of it, or .NET takes care of it, or Node takes care of it. And finally, your data, right? So you are posting, even now, if you go get into Facebook, you can see all the posts, right? You can see all the posts that gets displayed right from the scratch, right? When you created an account. So all those data are in database, and you are, whenever you log in, you are able to see it. So data is there in the database, and you are seeing everything in front end. So how again it is getting the data from the database and it is showing you. That is the logic which the backend does. And all the data that you are able to see, right, again for a period of time, persistence data. Say for example, I created my first Facebook account around 2011. Now it is almost 11 to 12 years of time. Still now I am able to say, see all the data, whatever data that I haven't deleted is there about me or about my profile, my friends, everything is right there. How do I do it? Or how it is possible? It is because of the database part. It helps you to store the data. So when you know all these things, all these three things, then you are going to be a full stack developer. When you know only this thing, you can say I'm a front end developer. When you say I'm a very strong Java guy, then you are going to be a back end developer. When you are say I am a very strong database guy, then you are going to be a database administrator. So that is the beauty of having a full stack developer. And as well as if you are a full stack developer, again you will have a knowledge on, you will be learning AWS or any cloud you will have knowledge on any cloud, such as Google or AWS or Azure. Followed by you will have a scope on CDCA pipeline, that is DevOps. You can become a DevOps guy. Since you are a full stack developer, your scope is very large. You can become a DevOps guy, where you take care of the entire deployment cycle. So very strong areas. So these are some of the things which I'm saying. Apart from this, you will learn lot of things. If you ask me, I'm not sticking to, I mean using most of the things. My application has MongoDB, my application has Node.js. My application also, we are thinking some services will be writing it in Java. It has Node, it has React. So imagine, and it has a queuing mechanism, it has a load balancing mechanism. All these are all these will be part of GCP. And you will be using SMS services, you will be using mail services, you will be using payment gateways. So there are a lot of research and lot of learning might happen. So these are the scope for you people. As a, if I say you as a full stack developer, this is the scope, and the scope is not limited. As the technology grows, your knowledge grows, your career keeps on growing. It is the amount of knowledge that you gain, and at some point in time, you're also looking at the quality of code, optimizing things. When you do that, you will be you'll be flying high. Any other doubts you have, people, on the scope? And hope you understand how the application is being built.
The session is open for Q&A, so participants can unmute your mic and you can ask the questions if any. And you're also open to, you can use the chat box. And before that, I would like to share a poll to get your feedback about this session, which will help us improve in our upcoming sessions as well. So I would request your 2 minutes for giving your feedback.
People, I'm open to questions. If you have any questions, you can ask me.
Thanks everyone for your response. I'm closing this poll. And the session is also available, the session which you have joined, and this is available on our YouTube channel, along with our previous Guru classes, and all our upcoming Guru classes will be scheduled on our YouTube channel. Please do follow and subscribe. And you can also follow us on Facebook. So for regular updates. Is there any other questions? If there aren't any, I thank you once again for participating in this awesome session, and hope to see you more in our upcoming sessions every Saturday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And until next week, it is thanks from Manoj Kumar and Venkatesh.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening and weekend. Bye.